Welcome to the show. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you're doing well and not being affected by the flu. Going to report on that a little bit from the CDC, some breaking news with that. It's not good. I'll share it with you and give you a heads up and maybe a couple of things you might want to consider doing here. It's the CDC provides what they call like a flu view report. If you go to the CDC website, you can get that kind of data. It's free. It's your government working for you. So I'll share with you what's going on. There's a trend here across the country, and children. Saw a story on CBS this morning that children are especially threatened and being affected by the flu. So we'll get into that. Apparently, you can sleep the fat away. That's what they're saying. We'll see about that. There's a story about this time of year, they all come out. It all comes out of the woodwork. Sleep diet. Snore your way to 10-pound loss. What?
Can you explain to me why? Can you explain to me why it always comes out this time of year?
Because people are trying to. They mean well, Gary. They're wanting to reset. It's just the resolutions, and they're trying, and the where people are vulnerable and fall prey to these scams. I'm not saying that this is a scam, but these weight loss diets and all these whatever is because they've tried and failed.
Right.
If you took a course in college and you failed it twice.
Oh.
Right? You failed it twice. By that point, and you needed to pass the course to get the degree in your area, whatever it might be, whatever your major is. You'll do about anything to pass that course. You'll hire a tutor. You'll pay top premium. Whatever you got to do, you're going to do it. And you get desperate. And some people might even cheat to try to pass the course. That's what happens here. And much of the inspiration, which is ironic, to set these goals and to try to achieve them is based on failure.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Based on failure, not success, often. And weight loss is one of those. Smoking is yet another.
Right.
Right? People have tried and failed. And so these marketers and charlatans, whomever, know this, and people are vulnerable. They're emotionally vulnerable. And they're very persuadable in this moment. And so that's what they do. If you study brainwashing, which I did,
right?
I can't give the details. I was, as a trial and jury consultant, I was working on a death case, and it involved the cult.
Yes, yeah, the one we talked about. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So, the area where I published most of my research is in the area of social influence and persuasion. And I knew a little bit about brainwashing, so I had to do my research for this particular case because we were dealing with a cult. And people that fall prey to the message of a cult are of a particular state of mind, psychological and emotional state. It's complicated. I'm not saying that that's what's going on here, but people become, my point is we can be very vulnerable. And that's why at this time of year, it's all well-intentioned.
Well, I got bombarded with questions yesterday that I'm just striving to ask you.
Well, ask me.
Okay, the first one was there's a show called This Is Us. Okay, it's a new show. It's out. It's on the evenings, and it's about families growing up. And they were talking about addiction yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the addiction things came up, actually resonated with me about food.
Food addiction.
Do
you know there's some people that say that there's no such thing? I disagree with that, but go ahead.
They did basically a whole show on addiction the other night, and one of it was this food addiction. And one of the things is if you come out and you say you have an addiction, which is I think the basics of like saying admitting that you have an addiction for everything, and trying to get help with it.
You can have what the psychologists and psychiatrists call an addictive personality.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at. Yes.
You're predisposed to addiction, whether it be anything from cocaine, cough syrup, to whatever.
Okay, because my father we've discussed was an alcoholic. He was an addict. He was an alcoholic.
He was.
Okay, and so after watching that show last night, I feel like I am predisposed to being a food addict.
Could be.
And I try not to keep sweets in the house because of that.
That's sensible, and that's what people should do. You know, if you're a pyromaniac, you do not carry a packet of matches in your pocket.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
You get that? I know that's a stupid analogy.
I'm not going to walk around with Snickers bars. Okay.
Exactly. You do not put that Snickers bar in your pocket. It's going to melt anyway.
Right.
So you get my point. Keep it out of the house. It could very well be you're one of 12. You're the last of 12 children.
Yes.
That in and of itself could present a whole host of issues.
Right.
That you've discussed with me, and we don't realize. That's why I get so upset with people that ridicule those who are overweight and obese and say it's their fault. They can always push away from the plate. You know, they don't have any willpower. They're just weak.
5 of 7 of us are overweight.
That point of view is so wrong-headed, because with any addiction, food addiction, the opioid addiction that's affecting everybody, from the poorest of the poor to the richest of the rich.
Yes.
It's complicated. There's so many dimensions and variables involved. And to take this, you know, these, I don't know what to call them, they're ignorant, just ignorant approaches, ignorant-based approaches to resolving them. Food addiction is real. And I've talked about it on the show. We've done that theme. It has the same features as any addiction. And I've described that on other shows. I won't do that here now. And it's real. Now they have, like with Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12-step program, they have food addiction programs where you go and you attend meetings and so on. It is very real. And food is not just food. I've said that a million times in so many and different ways.
I used to wake up until about a year ago, until I still started getting to this weight loss. I used to wake up thinking about what I was going to eat. And then when I got done eating, what I was going to eat next.
Now, the question to ask is why? Why would you do that? Why would that feature of your life be so ever present? Apparently, the food brings some sort of, if we were to talk about it, comfort, pleasure, satisfaction, distraction, right? Substitution for whatever's missing, security, insecurity, and so on. Food is not just food. And salt, sugar, and fat, their chemical properties are of a nature that the science of food addiction tells us that the compounds in salt, sugar, and fat, the way they're chemically composed, work in those same neural pathways for addiction, whether it's cocaine, cigarettes, whatever. That, in my opinion, is legitimate science. There is, in all fairness, I should say it, a group of scientists who disagree with that and say food addiction is not really that at all. I disagree respectfully.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day. giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018. I was just talking with Gary about food addiction. Came up. One theme leads to the next here. And I've reported on it. If you visit the Let's Talk Nutrition website, the library of shows under show schedule, you'll see various titles with food addiction in it. I find it an intriguing area. It is controversial. There's a lot of back and forth on it. I think it's real. I think the science is there to support it. There's people listening and watching this show right now, right at this minute, who struggle with it. And they could tell you a lot about it, but, you know, it's hard to get people to come on air to share that. If you're so inclined, here's how you can do it.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. Follow us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition, one word, or on Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition. That's the @ sign, by the way. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Let's Talk Nutrition. If you got anybody that wants to, this is a new feature. We actually do closed captioning on that channel. So all the old shows are closed captioned.
It's great. You said you had a question from someone?
Yeah, I was bombarded with questions last night from people. One of the things that depression and anxiety.
And?
I have a person that had an anxiety attack.
Anxiety disorder, okay.
And then they immediately went into being depressed.
Okay. And you asked me off air, did that happen a lot? Turns out that anxiety is one disorder, depression is another, and they've often been treated separately. But now psychologists and psychiatrists, and I'm not either one of those, but I can read and think, are really two sides of, now they theorize that they're two sides of the same coin. Being overweight or obese, a person can become very anxious or depressed, for example, right? Believe it or not. And over the past years, clinicians and researchers are moving to the conclusion that depression and anxiety are not two separate disorders, that they in fact coexist. And are you anxious or are you depressed? Well, it could be that you can be both. In fact, it's reported that mood disorders present as a combination of anxiety and depression. And this one report I was looking at said that 60 to 70% of those who suffer from depression also suffer from anxiety. And half of those with chronic anxiety also have or are diagnosed with clinically significant symptoms of depression. And it can become very confusing for a person or for the people in their lives. 1 minute, they're highly anxious, maybe even having an anxiety attack, and a few hours later, they're in a state of depression where they close off and become withdrawn and whatnot. And the coexistence of anxiety and depression, it's a comorbidity. It's called a comorbidity. Two things together. It's more than, the person is suffering from more than one thing. So if you feel like you're having those kinds of experiences, you should see a therapist, see your physician, and then get a referral. In our culture, unfortunately, mental health is treated like you have with stigma, and that's not right.
Like leprosy. It's
really
horrible.
Is. If you tell somebody, I have cancer, that's one thing. If you tell them that you're in therapy for some particular psychological disorder, you know, they see it totally differently.
I've seen people be nicer to somebody with the flu than somebody that has some type of anxiety or depression.
I don't know why. Maybe I think it frightens us. We don't understand it. And by the way, psychological pain is just as painful as physical pain.
Yeah. Yeah, I was on one of the first mental health teams in Tampa for the police department when I did hostage negotiations. And one of the things I actually went and worked. They took us for a week, and we worked at several mental health facilities throughout the Bay Area. And one of the things that I thought was very, very, very interesting is almost everybody there that had depression had an addiction.
Yeah, listen.
That's why it started with the addiction.
Sometimes people get onto drugs and whatnot because they are depressed and they're looking for a way out. They're wanting to feel better. Okay? And it's complicated, but the fact of the matter is, we should be more inclined to want to help those with mental health issues and not stigmatize them. Speaking of flu, there is some breaking news, and you can go to the CDC website and get an update on what they call their flu view. Can you hand me that sheet, Gary? Thank you. Here are some things that you might want to know about the flu right now, according to the CDC. For the week ending December 30th, the number of people seeing a healthcare provider for influenza-like illness was about 6%. That's above the national baseline, which is 2.2%. There's a 4-point difference there. In this world, that's a big difference. Influenza-like illness, New York City and 26 states experienced high influenza-like activity, all the way from Alabama down through West Virginia. I mean, Alabama, Arkansas, California, Georgia, goes on and on. It's just a mess. When I come back, I'll tell you more. They're worried about the children. Children are have become susceptible to this particular virus this year, and it's not good.
Perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace, for healthy sleep naturally.
is being particularly hit hard with one of the worst flu seasons in years. It's being reported, with 45 states reporting widespread illness, according to the CDC. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018. Dr. Kate Rowan Blue is my guest. I'll bring her on in a moment. Experts warn that young children are particularly vulnerable this year. And we need to be mindful of that. Young children and the elderly. This is very typical. The flu is dangerous. Make no mistake about it. And I know that there are many listening and watching that are opposed to vaccines. They will not take a flu vaccine. You won't get them to take that shot no matter what. But I'm just saying, think it through. Think it through. So much myth and misunderstanding surrounding vaccines.
I went and got the shot after you told me.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
good. That's good.
I went to one of the local pharmacies. They do it here locally now.
Yeah. And some places are running out. So 13 children across the United States have already died this flu season. You say, well, that's not a big number. Well, it's not one of your children. One is one too many. 13. According to the CDC, children that are younger than 5 are at a higher risk of developing serious flu-related complications. And babies under the age of 2, they're even more at risk because their lungs and immune systems are what? Not fully developed. And so they don't have much, they're really biologically vulnerable. So I'm just saying. The CDC estimates that since 2010, flu-related hospitalizations among children younger than 5 has ranged from 7,000 to 26,000 a year in our country. And between 2004 and 2005 flu season, they highlighted between 37 and 171 children died of the flu each year. I mean, you don't see that reported very much. I just wanted to bring it to your attention and make you mindful about it. And if keep your hands, practice good hygiene. Wash your hands. Keep your hands, if you can, keep your hands away from your face. Very difficult.
We use that Silver Biotics.
Yeah, you might try that. We've talked about that on the show. American Biotech Silver Biotics, that one product they have, just rub it on your hands. It works. Dr. Kate Rowan Blue is my guest. She's an educator for natural factors. She's up there in British Columbia. They get the flu up there too, you know. That myth about, viruses can't live in cold weather. What are you talking about? Dr. Kate, welcome back. Happy New Year, and welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you. Is that a thing that people say? Viruses can't live in cold weather?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that one before.
Oh, you haven't heard that one? Oh, my God. My daughter's a virologist. She has her PhD in virology. She hears all that nonsense.
My girlfriend Angela, her boss, when it gets cold out, opens the doors and they all freeze.
Why?
Because she thinks she's killing the viruses in the office.
Oh, so the opposite. The cold weather will kill the viruses. No, man. That's not how it works.
She's going to be happy you guys say that now. She's going to tell her boss that she heard it on the show. It doesn't work.
No, man. The viruses, Dr. Kate, the viruses have been on this planet before we were.
Yeah, and everybody knows the incidence of flu peaks around January, February, which is when it's coldest, right?
Yeah.
You're serious that they've been around since we were?
Before we were.
Really?
The microorganisms, bacteria and viruses have been tens of millions, they've been forever on this planet, man.
You know, that's a myth that man created the flu virus.
Oh, please. Stop it. Tell them to stop it. Okay, viruses are, I should get my daughter on and give us a little primer on where do viruses come from. We contribute, we can create the environment, but I'm just saying. So how you been, Dr. Kate?
I've been very well, thank you. So far, avoiding the flu, which is also prevalent here. There's a lot of talk about that across the country, across Canada. Up here, even where it's very cold, a lot of flu. But I'm staying well.
Was your holiday season pretty good all in all? Not too much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you had a good time?
Relaxing, which was the key thing.
Really?
Yes, that was great.
So you and that other person relaxed during.
Two.
It's a lovely time of year. I love the holidays. Now we reset. Are you a fan of New Year's resolutions?
I am actually a fan of New Year's resolutions. If it's time to recommit to something that you've already been doing or had in mind, if it's anything that motivates people, I'm a fan of that. I don't know, I question how seriously people take their resolutions, but it is a great time to start to focus on, for example, health again, or just getting back to business.
I've spent almost an inordinate amount of time on the show talking about New Year's resolutions because they're really goals, and I think health goals and all kinds of goals are the bridges, as the expression goes, or the saying, to our future. Although I live in a state of mindfulness, you still need to have goals. And I think that they serve as like a reset. It's like hitting the button and trying to do a reset.
Exactly.
And start fresh. Lord knows we start off with good intentions, and then things somehow we get lost in the maze, don't we?
Agreed. Yeah, that can happen. But I think that's the thing, is to remember that even if you've fallen off the wagon, it doesn't mean you've blown your resolution, and you can have a new, you can restart at any time.
Mm-hmm. What did you have on your mind? What's on the menu for you today?
Well, to be honest, I was thinking about resolutions, and the fact that the number one resolution still is, for most people, weight loss, and that there are still a lot of myths, misunderstanding that lead people astray in their goals towards achieving a healthier weight. So I was thinking about maybe busting some of those myths, kind of turning people's minds around about weight loss and how to go about it. Excellent.
Can you put the camera on me for a second? I'm prepared to talk to you about that. Geez, if you're watching, if you're watching, those are my notes.
You killed the Ocala forest this morning with your notes
for New Year's resolutions. There's about 3 pounds of paper here. I'll share with you the Marist poll for 2018 on New Year's resolutions. You're going to be surprised. It's right into the theme that you just laid out. There's some good news in there. And we'll get into this business of New Year's resolutions, weight loss, how to manage it, how to achieve it. Losing the weight, one thing. Keeping it off is another matter. Yeah.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
Dr. Kate Rowan Blue is my guest today. She's an educator for Natural Factors. Wonderful company, among the best of the best. And she's going to be talking about New Year's resolutions, generally one in particular, weight loss. The failure rate is, well, there's room for improvement. It turns out Marist, the Marist College Institute for Public Opinion, they do their annual survey. That's a survey outfit. Did the top 2018 New Year's resolutions. They did a survey. Turns out that weight loss shared the top spot with being a better person. They were tied in the most in this as being the most popular New Year's resolutions for 2018. I'm encouraged by that. Being a better person. Well, my goodness, in this day and age of insensitivity and nastiness that's reflected all over the place, that broke through. I guess people, want to, they're just tired of all this nastiness, Dr. Kate, and want to be a better person. That's pretty good, no?
That is encouraging. That's heartwarming that it would be, those would be tied for the first two, that people want to be better. I'm curious about the specifics on that, if they have specific ways of being better.
I don't know if they surveyed them on that, or if they asked if they did follow up. I couldn't get my hands on the instrument, the questionnaire. I typically can find it, but I couldn't find it this year. I'll look around.
Well, don't you think if you feel better about yourself, you're going to feel better towards everybody else?
Typically, we tend to project onto others what's going on with us sometimes, and that cannot be.
Very much so.
And if you're cranky, that ain't good.
No.
You seem to have a pretty even keel about you. I've never met you in person. You seem, pretty level and upbeat and optimistic. Or is that just impression?
I think you've got that right. If that's coming through, that sounds about right.
Or are you just are you just really good in practice at impression management? No.
My radio persona.
No, I don't get the vibe from you that you're dark and dismal. I don't get that vibe.
No, not dark and dismal. Generally pretty even keel. Not so much into the drama per se. So, yep, you read that right.
Okay, good. All right.
That's what my friends would say about me.
Good. That's what my one friend says about nose. So what about weight loss? This is such a perplexing health issue. My God, tens of billions of dollars have been spent on trying to figure this out, how to get people to lose weight and keep it off. You'd think we'd have it solved. I mean, we could probably move everybody off the planet onto another planet before we resolve that problem. What's on your mind about it?
This is a thing, right? Why is it so complicated? Why is it so difficult? It should be easy, especially since, you talk about weight loss long enough and somebody is going to pipe up and say, oh, weight loss is just a matter of eating less and exercising more. And that person probably has never struggled with weight loss and can sound very smug when they say that. But the whole concept, first of all, and there are a few sort of misconceptions, and weight loss is multifactorial, the fact that it's as well increasing so much for so many people. There's a few factors to that. But this whole concept of weight loss is simply a matter of calories in versus calories out is oversimplified, and it's not helpful for the majority of people that need to lose weight. For some individuals, just that equation alone will be helpful, but for a lot of people, that doesn't help. And as a matter of fact, trying to eat less and exercise more, while it may lead to a few pounds shed, can slow metabolism, for example, and then that will lead to rebound weight gain. So it's that whole equation of calories in versus calories out is really, it can be misleading. And in fact, I would say that if we want to use an equation, hormones in versus hormones out is a lot more helpful and will help people with weight loss.
Hormones in and hormones out. Okay. Explain me what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, when I talk about hormones with regards to weight loss, there are a few that make a big impact, but the biggest one is insulin. And ultimately, high insulin levels will cause us to store fat, And if we can lower our insulin levels, then the body doesn't need to store that fat, and it will help you lose that weight. There are other hormones as well that affect weight. Cortisol is one of them. Thyroid is another one. But insulin is really the big one, and once you can get insulin under control, often cortisol and thyroid can fall in line as well. So really looking at insulin, and if that's your goal, instead of trying to lose weight, instead trying to lower your insulin levels, which is actually simpler than it sounds, you'll find that weight loss, most people will find that weight loss follows as a side effect of that. And so, a lot of people, for example, think that they need to lose weight to be healthy, but in fact, you need to be healthy to lose weight, and then it happens. So that's sort of a broad overview, but hopefully one that changes people's viewpoints and approaches to weight loss.
You need to be healthy to lose weight. There's some, that's an interesting insight. When you look at people who are overweight, oftentimes they are unfit. They're not healthy for a lot, both physiologically and psycho-emotionally, and makes it more difficult because they're in a state of chronic stress because of that. They're living in stress induces inflammation, and you get this crazy cycle of things going on.
Yep.
You got to be healthy to lose weight. You got to be fit. It's interesting. Do you buy into the notion? There was a trend about 4 or 5 years ago, was appearing in the literature. Healthy obesity, being a healthy overweight state, and whatnot. I never bought into it. I don't agree with it. That you can be overweight or obese and be healthy. I don't know how you do that, but that's just my opinion. So when we come back, we'll find out how to manage your insulin levels. Dr. Kate said hormones in, hormones out. Insulin is a hormone. Turns out that food, diet, and lifestyle have an impact on insulin. Diet in particular, certain foods. We'll get Dr. Kate to talk about that. Dietary supplements can enter stage left and play a role too. I'm sure she'll get into that. Yeah, 2018 top resolution for 2018 according to Maris, losing weight and being a better person. Sign me up. I'll work on that, being a better person. Fortunately, I don't have the weight issue. I got other issues going on, but I don't have that one. But being a better person, I find that very optimistic and very inspiring. We all could stand a little bit of that. There's always room for improvement when it comes to that. Our humanity. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018 edition. Just so glad to be here with you, and I hope your new year is off to a new start, if you will, and with a touch of optimism and good sense and hopefulness, right? And I am a big fan of fresh starts, hitting the restart button, whatever metaphor you want to use, and hence making these resolutions to carry us forward. And I know a lot of people run out of gas on them. I've done reviews of the literature. I've reported on. I've written about it. You can read my articles on New Year's resolutions. And I trust my research, and I trust my own writing and what I report. And I think I have a pretty good grasp of success and failure rates associated with New Year's resolutions, where people fall short. They're long on good intentions and short on know-how. And I've mentioned on other shows that there are certain principles that one should try to keep in mind. I won't get into them in great detail here. I will mention them to you. You can find my articles at my website. And one article was entitled Effective and Proven Ways to Help Keep New Year's Resolutions. And some of the principles that you need to follow are make a commitment, and there's the science associated with that. Be confident. So it's called self-efficacy. That is a critical element, and there is science to support that. Albert Bandura, longtime researcher, and others have spent a lot of their career studying confidence and self-efficacy, and that people beliefs about their capabilities to produce or to create or make happen success exercise a lot of influence over their lives. Trust me about that. How you frame resolutions, I talk about that. Typically, the big mistake people make, they're too general, too vague, and don't have enough specificity associated with them and the commensurate objectives to carry them out. You need to reinforce, you need to keep a record of what you're doing, self-monitoring your success and your failure, and track that. That's very important to do, and there's science to support that. Reward your success. If it's working, be kind to yourself. Recognize it. Rewarding your success and having social support around you is also very critical. You get my point here. It's just to make the resolutions not enough. And I discuss what making a commitment means. You just can't think and talk about it. Making a commitment means, it's like going into a casino. You're going to play blackjack or poker. You can stand there and watch the players play. Now, until you sit down at that table and put your chips or your money on that table, you have not made a commitment. And that's what you got to do here. And then you have to prepare to play and learn the game, so to speak. And that's what I'm trying to share with you. My guest is Dr. Kate Ron-Blue. She wants to talk about resolutions generally and weight loss in particular. Dr. Kate, welcome back to LTN 2018. It's great to have you on. Always.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Pick it up where you like, and I'll follow your lead, and I'll inject my interruptions as we go.
Well, I was saying before about the equation of calories in versus calories out really isn't that helpful for many people, or can lead to yo-yo dieting and not a good long-term solution, whereas the equation hormones in versus hormones out can be much more useful, although it sounds confusing or daunting. And there are a number of hormones that contribute to weight gain and participate in weight gain and weight loss, but insulin is the big one. And when people hear insulin, they may think, well, that's not an issue for me because I'm not diabetic. But in fact, if you have any excess weight, and in particular abdominal fat, because abdominal fat is different than the fat in the rest of the body, then insulin is a problem. And the good news is that you can eat in certain ways, and as you touched on before, there are certain supplements that can simply lower your insulin levels. And when that happens, your body will store less fat, and it will start releasing the stored fat.
as you say that, certain principles come to mind here about insulin and food. I don't know where you come down on this. If you disagree with me, please don't. Just it won't hurt my feelings. I'm a big fan of volumetrics, and I'm a big fan of the low glycemic principle or concept. And the volumetrics, whereby you want to increase the volume of food, but decrease with lower calories, but they have a high nutritional value, and you have increased the volume of food, volumetrics. And then the notion of the glycemic index, eating those foods that don't jack the insulin levels, where the glucose is, there's not a bunch of glucose injected into the bloodstream and then prompting the infusion of insulin into the bloodstream. So I'm a fan of that. Those two ideas, volumetrics and low glycemic index. What do you think about those two concepts?
Well, exactly. Both of those hit the nail right on the head when it comes to insulin, and those are the key ways to lower insulin, which is exactly this volumetric eating, which usually by definition, well, there's no way around it. In order to do the volumetric eating, you're going to be eating foods with lots of fiber, and that's how you create that volume without getting extra calories. And as well, typically that is also the case for the low glycemic index foods, except for, of course, meat, as we know, and those types of high-protein foods, which will be low glycemic, although not necessarily have fiber. And that's where the tricky part comes in, is the foods that so many people eat and love are comfort foods, and especially the breakfast foods, because that is really important. What you eat at breakfast sets the tone for your insulin levels for the rest of the day. Those foods are often high in starches and will get our blood sugar up, which gets our insulin levels up, and then we can be on the blood sugar roller coaster for the rest of the day. So incorporating more fiber is really, really important to getting the insulin levels down. And not just any kind of fiber. It has to be soluble fiber, and certain fibers do that better than others.
Which leads me to the next principle. And again, I haven't talked to you about this, so I don't know where you come down on it. But the notion of viscosity, and I'm not talking about Pennzoil. Usually motor oil, they talk about the viscosity of motor oil. I'm talking about the thickness of food, and the thicker, the better, because the higher viscosity foods tend to slow down the release. The food gets digested slower, and the release of glucose in the bloodstream is delayed. So, and that's where fiber comes into play here. And what comes to mind from natural factors is PGX.
Exactly. As I was, exactly what I was saying before, that not all fibers are the same in their ability to lower your insulin levels or make you feel full or help with cholesterol, all of these, the good things that we hear about fiber, not all fibers are equal in their ability to do that. And PGX is a combination of 3 soluble fibers that have been shown to have a higher viscosity. In other words, their ability to absorb water is higher than any other individual or combination of fibers that has been tested. And that means that relatively small amount of PGX will absorb quite a bit of water. You want to have an extra glass of water when you take it, and all the benefits come from there. The sensation of being full, the carbohydrates being released more slowly into the bloodstream, which will lower and control both your blood sugar and insulin levels. And then, of course, both of those things have a big impact on weight loss.
Mm-hmm. Come back, we'll explore this very even further and deeper. And we'll talk about volumetrics, we'll talk about glycemic index, we'll talk about viscosity, PGX, and then there are other supplements that will, Dr. Kate alluded to, that will help manage and moderate your glucose and insulin levels. She'll lay it out for you. LTN 2018, Coast to Coast.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilla Max, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Just as I put the theme of talking with Dr. Kate about weight loss and New Year's resolutions, how to lose weight, how to manage it, and so on, keep it off, put that into abeyance. Just for one moment, I want to just go back to what we opened the hour with. We were talking about viruses, and I alluded to bacteria and viruses, and Gary was I said they've been around a long time. We do have fossil records of bacteria And scientists estimate that bacteria have been around about 3.5 billion years. Okay? Viruses, it's a little bit more difficult to get an exact or to get some sense of time here. And there are any number of hypotheses that have been proposed. A virus first hypothesis that says that viruses are really responsible. They appeared before cells did on the earth, and that they are the complex molecules of protein and nucleic acid, and that they appeared first on the planet before cells. That's one hypothesis. There are any number. It's hard. Just put it this way. They've been around a very long time. And I think, and before we entered into the, how can I put it? Before we evolved into what we are here, and as we evolved in our beginnings. So that's just to give you a sense of how they're very clever. And this flu season is not good. And you need to take the necessary precautions, as I've talked about on this show. Just wanted to get that out there. So, Gary, I just wanted to give you a sense that these microorganisms are not new to the game. And we keep trying to trick them and outsmart them. That's what the CDC does every year. They're trying to guess what viral variation is going to make an entrance. Sometimes they do well at it, sometimes not so much. But they try very hard. They take a lot of pride in it, by the way. As I said, Dr. Kate Rowan-Blue is my guest, and we're talking about weight loss. And we both, Dr. Kate and I agreed, we had never discussed this on air before. I believe in volumetrics, and I believe in glycemic index, and I believe in the notion of viscosity. Foods that are, thickness of foods that are high in fiber, special kinds of fiber, soluble fiber in particular. PGX by Natural Factors. I'm a big fan. It works. Dr. Kate, welcome back. What supplements exist to help individuals manage glucose and insulin levels?
Well, PGX absolutely tops the list and tops my list in terms of being useful in practice and seeing the results, as well as having the research behind it, a ton of research. Clinical trials involving thousands of participants at this point, showing benefits for weight loss, for blood sugar control, even cholesterol reduction. And so that one really, and it's one that it can be incorporated easily into the diet. That's important. And then there are, there are a few others that I feel like have their place. Sometimes they have had spikes in popularity, things like Garcinia, and even to a certain extent apple cider vinegar. It does play a role in preventing starch digestion. And so those things have their roles to play, sometimes in breaking, for example, weight loss plateaus, or, depending on how much weight a person has to lose, those can be really useful. But I really do like, in terms of a foundation for getting that insulin under control to start with, I like the PGX for that.
Let me introduce yet another principle and see, again, I don't know where you come down on it. And I think you would agree, though. I'm a big fan of using PGX as part of an approach to weight loss where the principle of partial meal replacement is practiced, where you take the PGX mix, like the Slim Styles mix, chocolate, vanilla, whatever flavor, and there's 5 grams per serving, and use that in between meals. It's this partial meal replacement approach to weight loss. How do you feel about that?
I like that. I've seen that work really well. A lot of the clinical trials have done the meal replacement for breakfast and lunch, and then people have their own dinner. And that's something that most people find is quite workable. And in the clinical trials, having those 2 servings a day, the breakfast and the lunch, typically leads to about a 2-pound per week weight loss. It's steady. And I've also seen individuals, for example, who just replace their lunch. They may be on the road, they may be busy, so they're going to make up a Slim Style shake and have that for their lunch. And those individuals typically will lose about steadily a pound a week. I can think of one case of a person who did this, just replacing his lunch with a Slim Style shake, lost 30 pounds over about 6 months, and that was his goal, and he was quite happy with that. So it's very flexible, and I absolutely agree with the meal replacement or partial meal replacement approach.
And the PGX would be part of that approach, using the shakes, and it does quell the appetite because the soluble fiber absorbs breaks down in water, creates that gelatinous mass in the stomach, and sends a signal to the brain that you're full, and it quells your out. You don't have this urge to eat. I mean, I reduced it to its most common denominator there, but that's basically how it works. Have you tried that product? Have you ever used it yourself?
Oh, definitely, and I love it. I love the way I feel when I take it, and absolutely I don't have a ton of weight to lose, but I was struggling with cravings, sweet cravings in the evenings, and having a PGX with my breakfast or a Slim Style shake that contains PGX completely fixes those.
Have you ever used it to make pudding?
Yes, the pudding is great.
All right, we come back. Will you share with the audience how to do that?
Definitely.
All right. Here's how to get in touch with the show and talk to Dr. Kate.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255 or anywhere in the world at 813-636-8255.
And you are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018. We are coast to coast and we're global, and we make that global stage by streaming. 30,000 hits a day on average.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018. Talking with Dr. Kate Rowan Blue today and how to approach this whole idea of weight loss using certain principles that have scientific support for them in their day-to-day practice, these principles. I alluded to, and Dr. Kate and I were talking about volumetrics and glycemic index, and then viscosity. Rolls and Barnett, they came up with the theory of volumetrics, and it's predicated on the principle that the constituent elements of water and fiber contained in food is what creates a sense of satiety or fullness. Water and fiber together increase the volume in foods and are responsible for reducing energy density. So water contains no calories and increases the volume, thereby lowering the energy density. Similar to water, fiber does not contain calories to speak of and adds weight or volume to food, increasing the sense of fullness. When you put those two together, when you pair them up, like in fruits and vegetables, you end up with, more volume than calories. And Rolls and Barnett, in that theory, that nutritional theory of volumetrics, looking at my notes, for them, it is, again, and I repeat that principle, it's the volume of food that you eat, not the calories, that is the driving force as to what's going to happen with you and your ability to lose weight and keep it off. Dr. Kate, welcome back. So beyond PGX, what else?
PGX, well, interesting. One of the things...
And now, don't forget, we got to talk about how to make the pudding with PGX.
Well, let's talk about that then, because it's so fun. And so PGX, being a soluble fiber that's high viscosity, which means it will absorb a lot of water, will slowly thicken when you add water to it. If you just sprinkle it on your food or mix it into your drink, you won't even notice it's there. But if you mix it and then let it sit for a while, it will slowly absorb water and thicken. And so you can use this as a thickener in certain types of foods. So the PGX pudding, you can make up a serving of one of the PGX meal replacement shakes, like the Slim Style Shake or the WellBed Shake with PGX. They come in lots of yummy flavors. Chocolate and vanilla, of course, are the most popular. Make that up, stick it in the fridge for a few hours or overnight, and the PGX will thicken, will absorb the water, and you have a thick, delicious, tasty pudding that tastes very decadent and rich, but in fact it will help to keep your blood sugar stable, help to lower your insulin, might even help you to sleep better. If you're having this for dessert, keep your blood sugar stable while you're sleeping, which is a factor in getting good sleep. And it's very popular.
So instead of that Haagen-Dazs chocolate ice cream or that chocolate layer cake or the chocolate bar, you go with the... Yeah, it's very good. And if you use something like almond milk, for example, like Orgain, that brand, it has 10 grams of protein per serving. If you mix the PGX shake mix with it in the blender and let that set up, that even makes it a little bit richer. If you will.
Like you've done this before, yeah. That's
Well, when you commit enough nutritional sin and you go to confession, the priest is always telling you how to correct those things. Yeah, and it tastes good. It's good. It does taste like pudding. It's good, yeah.
It does. And as crazy as this sounds, I know some individuals who, for example, will make up their coffee with cream and sugar, and then pour PGX granules, just the plain powdered PGX, into that and let it sit, and it thickens into a coffee-flavored pudding. I know people who do this regularly.
So if I take my espresso machine and make some espresso shot. Okay. Thank you for that little tip. Yeah, it's yum. Explain to the listener and the viewer why the urge to eat after you ate dinner, and it's usually the things you shouldn't eat. Why is that?
This is a great question. So Ultimately, our cravings, especially for the sweet and starchy foods, is because our blood sugar is dropping. Now, this should not sound like it should be the case after we just ate a big meal, but actually our blood sugar, especially later on in the day, does tend to go up after we've eaten and then drop pretty quickly. And it's not that the blood sugar is low, but the fact that it's on its way down will trigger certain brain cells to cause you to want to eat. And, they're not going to cause you to want to eat carrots and celery. They think blood sugar is dropping. They're going to want you to eat something sweet or starchy. And those cravings can be so difficult to avoid, or in the sense of just through sheer willpower, you will not be able to trick the brain for very long. It will drive you to eat those foods. The key is to prevent that blood sugar spike in the beginning, and PGX is very, very helpful for doing that. And even what you eat, as I was saying before, at breakfast can prevent blood sugar spikes throughout the rest of the day, including after dinner.
Let me throw something. I don't want to get wrapped around the axle here with some of these principles, but let me throw this into the mix. Are you familiar with Dr. Neal Barnard? Do you know who that is?
I know the name.
Okay. He's you'll find him in the space on a whole food, plant-based diet, no meat, no dairy. Mm-hmm. That he's one of those. He's an MD. And he has a book. I have the book. I've read the book on diabetes, how to cure diabetes. And he uses starches to do it. Yeah. Sweet potato. That's a starch, right?
It is a starch, yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm a fan.
Me too.
I could eat sweet potatoes till they're coming out of my ears. Mm-hmm. And you don't need to add anything to them either. If they're good, or I get organic, nice organic, they're yum. They're sweet enough. Mm-hmm. What do you make of that? I mean, he's built his whole idea of managing weight, eating starchy vegetables. Not only starchy vegetables, but other vegetables as well. But he doesn't put a nutritional ban on them. What do you make of that?
Well, I'd have to see the specifics of the diet, but I often find with plans like this, especially ones that are counterintuitive, people are making such a radical change from what was such an unhealthy diet with tons of, for example, white flour and processed fats to even if they're consuming starchy vegetables, the whole diet itself is so much healthier that it almost doesn't matter really that they're eating that.
Right.
Then I'd like to see the long-term results in terms of how people do over a matter of years.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Neal Barnard, Dr. Neal Barnard, how to prevent and cure type 2 diabetes, I believe is the title of the book. He's very cool. You'll find him on in social media. He and Caldwell Esselstyn and Michael Greger and all those guys, McDougall, they all hang out.
As a family-owned company.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Here's the LTN health question of the day. Talking with Dr. Kate Rowan Blue, educator for Natural Factors. We've been talking about the New Year's resolution of weight loss, or resolutions generally, weight loss specifically, and keeping your hormone levels in line, in particular insulin. And PGX came up. It's one of the dietary supplements that will help do that because it's a soluble fiber. Along the way, in the conversation, the notion of volumetrics came up, as well as glycemic index, and I was talking about volumetrics. According to that nutritional theory, volumetrics is what is the better way to approach weight loss? Should you focus on the calorie content of what you're eating? Or is it the volume or amount of food that signals whether or not you should continue or stop eating? What should you focus on? The volume of food that you're eating or the calories contained in the food? You know, if you listen to the theory, what it's called, there's a clue. The answer is in the name of the theory. Here's a number to call to win the $25 gift card. Supplement.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. Or anywhere in the country at 813-636-8255.
So, in chemistry, here's another hint. Since I'm talking about it, you'll know. Volume is the quantity of three-dimensional space that's occupied by a liquid, a solid, or a gas. All right? How much space something is taking up. That's all I'm saying. Dr. Kate, welcome back. I'm going to make some of that pudding today when I go home later on this afternoon.
Me too, I think.
I think I'm going to try it with some Orgain almond milk. Give it a little richer texture. We'll see. I'll see how that works out. Yeah. What about, does Natural Factors have some supplements that will zero in on controlling glucose levels?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there is what's called the Well-Betex line of supplements that there's several formulas in there that are focused, all of this is focused around controlling glucose levels. One, the glucoregulator, is a combination of herbs that will help as well to stabilize blood sugar in different ways, different mechanisms of actions of these different herbs. And that is something that can be very, very helpful for blood sugar control.
Yeah, Well-Betex is a line of supplements formulated at Natural Factors for diabetics. However, that being said, it applies to anybody can use it. That line is a very good, wonderful line of supplements from Natural Factors. PGX can be part of that, is considered part of that line too, but they have other like don't they have like mulberry, for example?
Yes, a couple of mulberry products, mulberry-containing products. Mulberry is fantastic for helping with the metabolism of starches in particular and other carbohydrates in the intestines to slow their absorption, because that makes a really important impact on blood sugar.
Okay. You know, as I often say, usually there's more than one thing that causes a problem, usually. And it usually takes more than one thing to solve a problem. I don't care if it's with politics, religion, family issues, health issues. I generally find that principle to hold up. So just a cautionary note. Don't want anybody to be led to believe that taking just PGX alone is the end-all, be-all, and answer to losing weight, and keeping it off forever.
Agreed. Absolutely.
It takes more than one thing. These are strategies, or it depends on how you conceptualize it, or it could be tactics, depending on how you frame it, to help. And you want to put a constellation of strategies and tactics together, and you start to create this your own little approach. and introducing PGX into your nutritional regimen every day. Great strategy to help. Let's go to Clearwater, Florida. Nice down there. Hi, Roy. How you doing? Happy New Year.
Same to you.
So, what is in the theory that we're talking about here, the volumetrics theory, should you focus on the number of calories that you're eating at a meal or the volume of food?
The volume.
Yeah, the volume of food. In other words, you want to eat low. When you focus on foods that have a high volume content are low, it turns out have a low energy density factor. So you want to eat low energy dense foods, not high energy dense foods. High energy, like a Snickers, is a high energy dense food. There's not very much volume, but there's a pile of energy in there, a lot of sugar and whatnot. So, it's volume that will create these low energy dense foods. So that's a very sketchy, or not sketchy, but bottom line way to describe the theory. Congratulations. You want a $25 supplement gift card.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year, Roy. The best this year.
Yeah, same to you. Same to you. Yeah, I go about 80 grams of fiber a day.
Whoa.
Nice.
Wow, you need a trophy, man. Congratulations. That's wonderful. Good for you, Roy. Thank you for sharing that. We appreciate it, and thank you for listening. Dr. Kate, thank you for coming on. Please visit naturalfactors.com. You'll find their WellBedX line. It's a great line. It's not just for diabetics. The PGX is all over the place. Go to pgx.com. Read about it. The science is there. There are clinical trials and whatnot. And are you going to Expo West?
Expo West, not decided yet. I might be there. I'm still working on it.
All right. Well, if you go, one of my producers will be with me. We'll film you. We'll do an interview, and we'll get that posted.
Sounds fun.
Little vignette. I'll look for you, though, if I don't talk to you before that.
Definitely.
You take care of yourself, Dr. Kate, and thank you for your contribution today. We appreciate it very much.
You're so welcome.
You're welcome, too. we love having you on. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll do this again. Repetition. That's how you get good at this, meaning you and me. You're just trying to do better, right? Your health is your wealth.
Have you discovered